For decades, this giant ship has remained trapped in the sand.
Rust, collapse, and years of silence consumed every deck.
But hidden beneath the decay, the structure still survived. Inside, time had completely erased the ship's former life. Even the engine room had been left to decay for decades. For the first time in years, a restoration team finally arrived. The inspection revealed corrosion far worse than anyone expected. Years of abandoned debris had to be cleared before restoration could begin. For the first time, the original paint began to reappear. Layer after layer of corrosion had fused itself into the steel. Some parts of the structure were already close to collapse. The weakest sections had to be removed before the rebuild could continue. Removing the damaged steel became the project's first major operation. Slowly, the original surface began emerging beneath years of neglect. Every damaged window had to be removed by hand. For the first time, new windows replaced the broken past. The first reinforcements were installed to prevent further collapse. Some structures were too damaged to save. Rebuilding the bridge required replacing entire support sections. Years of compacted sand had buried critical sections of the hull.
Beneath the sand, the damage was even more severe.
Entire sections of steel had to be cut away and rebuilt. The scale of the rebuild required an entire external support system. Removing decades of corrosion became one of the largest tasks of the project. Nature had slowly taken control of the ship's upper decks. Piece by piece, the ship's structure was slowly being stabilized. The lower hull required entirely new structural reinforcement. Inside the ship, water damage had spread through nearly every room. Inside the corridors, decades of decay covered every surface.
The ship's entire electrical network had completely failed.
Temporary power allowed the restoration to finally move deeper inside. Entire cabin sections had become too unstable to preserve. For the first time, the ship's original interior layout became visible again. the rebuild finally reached the ship's internal structural core. Beneath the destruction, the original scale of the ship was still intact. For the first time, new construction began replacing the decay. The central lobby required major stabilization before rebuilding could continue. The ship's interior framework was slowly coming back to life. Reconstruction had finally reached the ship's command center. New guest accommodations were now being built from the ground up. The interior was finally beginning to resemble a real destination. Behind every wall, a completely new infrastructure was being built. The empty structure was finally becoming a livable space. The transformation was entering its most visible stage. The foundation of the future hotel was finally complete. The guest suites were finally beginning to reflect the project's vision. The ship's interior was finally beginning to match its ambitious vision. What was once abandoned was now becoming something extraordinary. The first pieces of luxury were finally arriving on board. The guest suites were approaching their final form. The heart of the future hotel was nearly ready. What was once abandoned had become a destination unlike any other. Entire recreational sections had to be demolished and rebuilt. After months of preparation, the first protective coating was finally applied. For the first time, the ship began to recover its original identity. The restoration was finally beginning to cross the entire vessel. Month by month, the ship's original silhouette began returning. The transformation was finally becoming impossible to ignore. The ship's appearance was changing faster than ever before. Entire recreational sections had to be demolished and rebuilt. The most ambitious phase of the transformation was about to begin. One of the ship's future attractions was finally under construction. For the first time, water returned to the ship's highest deck. The rooftop centerpiece was nearing completion. The rooftop experience was nearly ready for its first visitors.
High above the coastline, the ship offered a completely new perspective.
Inside, every space had been completely reimagined. The same ship that once stood abandoned now illuminated the entire coastline. The transformation had expanded far beyond the ship itself. The resort's largest outdoor attraction was finally coming to life. The transformation had expanded far beyond the ship itself. The vision had finally become reality. For the first time, visitors stepped aboard the transformed landmark. What began as a wreck had become a destination. As night arrived, the destination came alive in an entirely new way. What was once forgotten had become one of the coastline's most remarkable destinations. Every light told the story of a place that refused to be forgotten.